So, why do we come here to this monastery if not to practice? Huh? What do we practice? We practice both samatha, calm meditation, and vipassana, insight meditation. Samatha is calming the mind, making the mind to stop thinking and stop memorizing. Do that with the Buddha meditation or with anapanasati, concentrating on the Buddha or concentrating on the breath at the tip of the nose, observing the breath going in and observing the breath going out, knowing, and that is the important part of it, knowing that the breath goes in, knowing that the breath goes out, knowing that the breath is deep or shallow, or is it rough or is it subtle. The knowing faculty that we have to develop about the object that we observe is called sati, is called knowingness. Concentration is being able to stay put at one place, but the sati is not going to develop automatically if we are not interested in observing the object, how it changes from moment to moment. Vipassana is the insight meditation or investigation of the 5 groups that we think that is us. Including the body, we think it is us. We believe it is us. We are 100% sure it is us. Feelings, we are believing it is us. We're 100% sure it is us. Thoughts, it's our thoughts. Memories, it's our memories. And it's our consciousness. These are the 5 groups, and whatever we think about ourselves, however we want to define ourselves, can all be found within these 5 groups. There's nothing outside of these 5 groups that we consider to be us. So that's what we are going to investigate, to see that it is not me, not mine, it doesn't belong to me. Or that it is anicca, impermanent, constantly arising and constantly ceasing. Our sense of I is constantly arising, constantly ceasing, just with the help of these 5 khandhas. If you don't think, if you don't memorize, and in samatha, the I disappears. Our sense of that there is something that we could call the I completely disappears. And that's why it is so relaxing, just to calm down in samatha, in a calm meditation, or in upachara samadhi, or in, even better, in upper samadhi, where the whole world disappears from our senses. The deeper we get into upachara samadhi, the less aware are we of the body. Until the body completely disappears from our awareness, and there is only left the knowingness of the citta or the sati. And that's all what we need to know, and that's why we come here to practice. Investigating of the body, is understanding the nature of the body, understanding that the body is not me, not mine, and not myself. That is just, parts of the body, and everything. When we look at it, when we put it out, in front of us, it is loathsome. When we put it together, it seems to be nice, and we have the sense of I. When we put it out in front of us, all the parts are in front of us, the sense of I loosens, and we just see parts of the body, and they look pretty much loathsome to us. That's the investigation of the body. It goes deeper then, where we investigate the 32 parts of the body, to understand the nature of the body, and also, what is more important, to understand the nature of greed and hatred that are rooted within this body. And with the body investigation, we of course, investigate feelings. The first kind of feeling that we investigate is the feeling of pain. Yeah? It already comes up in our samatha practice when we sit there, or when we walk, when we sit, for more than an hour, or for 2 hours, or for 3 hours, or for 6 hours, then pain comes up, and then we can investigate what is pain. We go to the point where the pain is, but we only, when we do samatha, when we do the calm meditation, we only go to the point of the pain when we cannot still concentrate on the Buddha or on the breath anymore. When we are constantly disrupted and have no steady object, because the pain constantly intervenes. And then we go and investigate the pain and ask the question, what is pain? Where is the pain? How does it feel like? Is it changing? That is the way of how we investigate pain, to understand the nature of the pain. Where is it located? Once we come close to the object, or in the beginning of our investigation of the pain, if we do it in the beginning, the moment we concentrate on the pain, it's gone. Until we sit for a very long time, and then it is steady. And then we can investigate what is pain. And then we follow the pain until it shows us where it comes from. Once it shows us where it comes from, then we understand what is pain. Memory, association, and thoughts. Once body investigation is finished, that is the predominant thing that we investigate. Because within memory and thoughts and association is rooted, it is rooted the delusion. We have to tear it apart, and that is very difficult. If we don't have enough sati, we still can't do any body investigation, and feeling investigation is already difficult. How can we do the investigation of what seems to be one thing? Memory and thought clutched together, building the sense of I, building the sense of mine. How can we tear it apart and see memory as memory and thought as thought? They constantly come together, nearly together in one big lump. Once the investigation of memory and thoughts are finished, that's the end of delusion. So we have gotten rid of greed and hatred and delusion, and then only the restlessness and avijja itself have to be investigated until we are free. It sounds very easy, it is very difficult, and especially if we don't have sati, we will hang around this life, if you can't develop sati, our practice does not progress. Our insight, our knowledge doesn't get deeper. It stays on the level of knowledge, not knowing. It stays on the level of knowledge. We know this, we know that, just the concept of it, but we don't understand reality. It is very difficult to understand reality because reality constantly changes. And it is one is unable to express it. And that might be a problem for you. Because one time I say this and another time I say that. Think about. Think about one of the Greek statues. It depends on how you look at it. When I look from the front of it, I can tell you there are 2 eyes, there's a nose, there are eyebrows, and there's a chin and there's a mouth. When I look on 2 ears, when I look from the side, there's only one eye, 1 ear, and the chin, and half a mouth. When I look from behind, there's nothing to see. Maybe the 2 ears, and then some hair. So I'm not always explaining the things from the same point of view. And that's what makes some people, getting confused. Today he says this, tomorrow he says that. What is now? As long as you're in the concept of words, you will not understand it. You will only understand the truth of the nature once you go and investigate it and find the wisdom, or see the truth for yourself. The truth itself changes all the time. So you cannot pinpoint it, and say, give it one word, one meaning. It is impossible. Each time you look at it, it changes. And it is the same thing. Actually, with the breath, you have a concept of the breath, and you follow that concept of the breath, and you observe the concept of the breath, and so it never changes. And then it becomes, of course, boring. But when you look at the reality of the breath, it is changing all the time, and it never repeats itself. And that's the same thing, with the Buddha. It seems to be monotonous, but it is not. It changes it changes the rhythm, it changes the depth, it changes the speed, and so on, and so on. It's not in the beginning, and in the end, it's not the same. What is missing for most of you is this common wisdom, is this is this questioning, things, and asking what is behind it, or not taking everything that is said for the truth itself, and then getting confused when one day later, it is expressed in a different way. You can't make sense of it. Now, is it like this or is it like that? It's just like this statue. Remember this. If you watch a statue from behind, it looks very different than when you watch it from the side or when you watch it from the front. But your education, was there. The teacher said something, and that is for you the truth. You never question the teacher if he said it actually was the truth. I remember when I went to school, some of our teachers said, "So, do you believe that? Do you really believe what I said? Is that true what I said? So they made us think. Not everybody, what a person says might be the truth. Even the Lord Buddha said, test it out and see for yourself. So, how can something, that is said be the absolute truth? Question, if you question and show me that I'm wrong somewhere, because your experience is not what I probably point you at, you can't do me a bigger favor. You don't question my authority, but you actually started, to develop some common sense, some investigative techniques, When you think about the liver, the liver is for you like this, or the eye is for you like this, But you will never see the truth of the eye, or the truth of the liver, or the truth of the bone, or the truth of the skin. If you hang on or clutch on to these concepts. That is what is investigation about, questioning, asking what this thing is, and finding out the true nature of it. The true nature cannot be expressed in any words. We use concepts in this world, to refer to objects. But we don't know if you refer to these objects. We can give them adjectives. It is soft, it is hard, it is slimy, or something like that. But we can't give an attribute to it that tells us the nature of these things. That is something that we have to investigate. That is something, we have to question. To question what the teacher says is not wrong, as long as you don't dismiss it, because that is just wrong view. Question what the teacher says is not wrong. It's finding your own way to the truth that the teacher points at. And that's the whole point of the teaching, to point at something, to point the way to Rome, but you have to actually go the way, to find Rome. Of course, the teacher can give you some description of how samadhi is, or how liberation is, or how this is, or how that is, or how to deal, and that is the only task of a teacher, how to deal with the problems along the path. But if you don't start to question things, you will be always in the dark. You believe this is true or that is true, and then you're in a catch-22. You can't get out. Because things seem to differ. Or even contradict from your point of view. Just like, 2 or 3 people staying, one at the front of the statue, another at the back of the statue, and another at the side of the statue, and they argue, because somebody asks, what is the statue? And then these persons, have their views of the statue. Or just like, who was the emperor? Asok, who put 8 blind men to an elephant, And you remember the story, when they had to describe the elephant, these 8 blind men, started to fight because everybody had a different view of the elephant. One said it's soft, other said it's hairy, and another whatever. And they started to fight. They started to fight about their views of what an elephant is. And that's the same thing. People start to fight about something that cannot be expressed in words, about the truth. But in order to understand that, we have to shift our point of view from one point to another point and see things in a different light. So we go from the back of the statue to the side of the statue to the front of the statue, and then we can't describe it, in one word, or even in many words, but we know what a statue is. And that is the same thing when I talk about samadhi, or when I talk about investigation, when I talk about a super practice, when I talk about the investigation of the nature of the elements of the body, or things like that. When I talk about greed or hatred, because everybody, these are just words, these are references to anything, that you have a view of. If I talk about anger, everybody, has a different view of anger. What is anger for him? Whatever he defines as being anger. When I talk about greed, some people think I'm not greedy, because they don't accept the definition of greed, the desire to wanting something, even if it is a slight, the wish to do something. It's something that we would call desire. When you're in samatha, when you're in samadhi, there's no wish at all. You don't wish anything to be different. The moment we wish anything to be different, that is desire, or greed. If there's anything that we don't like, it's a form of hate. And everybody has a different understanding of greed, hate, and delusion. So, but we have to use words, in order to bring about the message. But if you understand, that the path of practice, is a path that is described going this direction. When you meet these difficulties, that's how you could handle it, or there's another way to handle it, and then overcome the hindrances and then go to the next stage until you come to the next hindrance or to the next problem. But you always go in the right direction. You don't look back and you don't look forward. You just stay there. Wherever your practice is, and that's where it is. And if it is calm meditation, it's staying with the Buddha, or it's staying with the breath. If it is investigation, then we stay with the skin, or with the teeth, or with the hair of the head, or hair of the body, or the nails, or any inner part of the body. We just stick with one object. And then we look at this object until it blows up, until it becomes very prominent within our inner eyes. And then we can dissect it, and we can look, and we can zoom inside, we can zoom outside, we can look around, and understand, cut it up, put it in fire and see what it is made of. But of course our conditioning, that's the way we are conditioned. We have only, we are very, very constricted. Constricted the views, since we are born and we went to school, we believed whatever they said, or some of us, just disbelieved, but never questioned. And when you look at inside meditation, it's always questioning. Questioning what we see, questioning what we experience. What is pain? What is the experience of pain? That is a question. What is the experience of pain? And when you look at it, and when you investigate, when you question it, it always appears differently. And there is no one word that can describe it. The true nature of pain, how it arises, how it ceases, where it's coming from. But of course, it is very difficult. If you went to school, or if you went through to this age, without ever questioning any kind of authority or any kind of teacher or any kind, when you just take things for granted, yes, that is how it is. Today is storm, tomorrow there is no storm. Today there's rain, and tomorrow there is no rain. The sun comes up, and sometimes it's cloudy. It is always different. But we still call it day, and we still call it night, and we still call it weather. But it always feels different. Even when we say it is windy today it feels like this, and tomorrow, it's different. So there's no one thing. If you don't start to question the things that you experience, and especially question the comments that come from your conditioning and come from the kilesas that tell you how things are. If you don't start to question them, you will be hung up. You will be in a cage, in a round cage, and never come out. You can go up and you can go down, you can left and right, and wherever you go you see the same thing. That is the cage that the kilesas keep us in. If you start to question this cage disappears. The things are different from what we expect them to be. And expectation is one of the big hindrances in our practice. Yesterday it went so nice. Why is it not going today? We expect it to be the same way. And it is never the same way. And that's why we fail. And that's why we get sad and disheartened and whatever. Because our practices will never be the same. That's what keeps it interesting. Once we get the hang of it, that it constantly changes, we can stay with this changing nature. And that is so interesting that we are not interested in anything else, in the static environment that doesn't seem to change, because the static environment is just in our heads, in our words, in our language. Okay, that's enough for today. And don't stick out and learn your chanting,